Hi, my name is Charla Marie Bailey. I'm your red carpet host for the Twin Cities Film Fest presented by Stearns Bank. And I am standing here with the filmmakers for Warrior. Prayer Warrior.
Awesome.
And can you give us your name and the role you played in making this film?
Yes, I'm Kevin Hughes, and I was the co-executive producer.
I'm Song Johansen. I'm the co-executive producer, director, videographer, and editor.
Wow, a lot of hats.
A lot of hats.
And that's why you wore a hat today, maybe? All right, cool. All right, can you give us a brief description of what this film is about? And also, it is a documentary. Can you give us a description of what it's about?
Yeah, for sure. So we traveled down to Charlotte at the end of 2023 to stay with Frankie Louvu, who is a linebacker for the Carolina Panthers in the NFL. And so we just spent 4 days with him, and we were down there on assignment to do some brand building exercises. And unbeknownst to us, he had his family and friends from the American Samoan Islands in town. And so what happened was, what started it just as a simple, exercise in building his brand turned into just 4 days where we got to observe the relationships with his friends who he grew up with. We got to meet his parents, we got to meet his family, and really just got introduced to an American Samoan culture that was built on love, acceptance, brought us in, and we just kept the cameras rolling. So, and then on the flight back, it was Song and I were talking, and I said, I think we might have had something here. I think we might have stumbled onto something. And then we put it together, and that's where we landed.
And why did you all pick Louvu in particular?
Go ahead.
For me personally, Louvu's story is so unique in terms of where he is from and how his upbringing has been and what that juxtaposition brings to his story being in America now, and seeing that cultural kind of divide or split between the two cultures which he is involved with now, which is, for me, coming from Norway, coming to the U.S. in 2018, as well as growing up with, a Thai mother and a Norwegian father, there's always been this interest in cultures and how cultures intermingle. And to hear that from Frankie and seeing it in front of your eyes is quite unique. And so I think the story kind of just tells itself.
Okay, awesome. And are either of you involved in sports in any way?
Yeah, when we produced the project, we were working for a organization that represented NFL athletes, and so we were on assignment just to really go down there and check in with Frankie, see how he's doing, see how his body is, see how he likes the team, and then, like I said, really just do some foundational brand building work. And so this is not a unique project in per se. We did this to 4 or 5 other NFL athletes last season. It just was the uniqueness of the story and the uniqueness of the circumstances that we found ourselves in. And the narrative just presented itself. And like I said, it really turned into more of a humanistic study of Frankie, his upbringing, his background, and the culture of the American Samoan people.
I think I should have asked, do you play sports?
I played basketball in college and overseas. I do still play sports, yes.
Boxing, martial arts, hockey. Yep, growing up with all those things, so.
Do you think now that you have done this is your 5th time doing this, do you think you'll turn those others into documentaries as well?
I don't know. We've talked about that. Actually, there's some people in the crowd that have talked about potentially turning some of those into documentaries. We do have a lot of archived footage with some of our athletes. I also think there might be potential to continue this story. Frankie got traded in the offseason to the Washington Commanders, and he's having a Pro Bowl season. I don't even know if his story or this documentary is even done, depending on what happens in the next couple of years.
I was going to ask if you guys had a lot more footage, because when you're doing a documentary and you say you're just filming for 4 entire days and you had to cut it down to 19, 22, 20 minutes?
Well, some of that was some of the material we can't show. But no, I think it's, in the era that we live in and shorter content, and the narrative that we saw. And I'll let Song speak to this. 20 minutes seems to be a very nice sweet spot for what we saw in 4 days.
Yeah, I don't think there's any reason to take any cards off the table when you are sitting on an archive of footage. So should the opportunity present itself, then we just have archived footage from years back that we can look back on and say, hey, how's this different from how things are now, and how can we, use this to enrich the story? So no cards off the table and every option open.
Awesome. And are there other films that you all have worked on or other documentaries that you all have worked on? And if so, where would we be able to see it?
I have not. This is my first. Thank you very much. And it just was more of the opportunity that presented itself. But I'll let Song talk because he's got a background in filmmaking.
So yeah, I've dabbled in a little bit of documentary work and other videography work, and I mean it's all out there on the internet. YouTube and Instagram and what other websites you can think of. It's all out there. Song Johansen and.
What's your plug, man?
Yeah, no, yeah. I mean, you search my name. I'm sure some work will pop up. I mean, I worked with a lot of local Minnesota businesses to tell their stories, and other athletes as well, schools. So there's a lot of stories out there, and there's just a matter of who's willing to tell it.
And are you from Minnesota?
I'm originally from Milwaukee, but I've lived in the Twin Cities for 15, 16 years. My wife's from the Twin Cities. My 2 boys are Minnesotans, so yes, I'm fully immersed in Minnesotan culture. Yes.
Okay.
I moved here in 2018 from Norway, so
Right.
been here about 6-7 years now.
Okay. Awesome. Wow, it's hard to believe that that's 6-7 years ago.
Oh, it goes fast,
2018
doesn't
time is just like speeding up. What is next for you two, and where do you hope to take this film next?
It's a great question. We talked about it. I would love to get out to Washington, D.C. Frankie's having a great season out there. And honestly, the fans, the Carolina Panther fans and the Washington Commander fans just seem to love Frankie Louvu. And we would love to try to get it out into Washington, D.C. I know he's got some plans potentially getting it overseas with his connections in Norway. But we just want to continue to get this story out just because Frankie Louvu is such a interesting, engaging character, and his family and what the experience that we were introduced to, I think is just a real, genuine, authentic story. So we would love just to get it out probably as many places as possible. But
I think it's a golden opportunity when you have a film like this and a theme like it to get it out there into the communities and create a talking point around, well, how are we using sports and films as a medium, as well as how are we interacting with the communities that we're in, and how does that affect things going forward?
Well, I thank you both for being here with us today. Thank you so much. And when I watched the film, I really felt a connection to Louvu.
very
He
cool.
seemed so nice, and his family was just so welcoming and loving. And I was like, it was very beautiful to see.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
agree with that. I mean, I'll say this: we've done this numerous times, and what's interesting about it is sometimes the athletes, when the cameras are on, the athletes become a little bit different. And what was unique about Frankie Louvu is when the cameras were on, it was the same old Frankie Louvu, and that's what I think really resonated with us in real time, and hopefully that comes off to people that watch the film as well.
Well, thank you again
Awesome.
for sharing your film with us here at the Twin Cities Film Fest. Thank you for watching. Be well.